USC and Lincoln Riley going to work on the recruiting trail, getting a big-time flip from the Oregon Ducks. It's high-profile. Top 10 quarterback Jonas Williams, top 10 cat nationally from the state of Illinois. What does this mean in terms of the quarterback they're landing here? What does it mean big picture? When we talk about USC recruiting and their future in the Big Ten and just nationally, we'll unpack all of that together. If you're a USC fan, make sure you are dialed in. If you're a college football fan, recruiting, the games themselves, portal, we're talking all of it here, so we appreciate you being subscribed and being locked in year-round to the wonderful sport that is, of course, college football. So my first thought about this when I saw Jonas Williams flip from from Oregon to USC, is the fact that it was a flip. Like anytime a player flips from one school to another, there's probably a lot that goes on there. But the thought to me was, if I'm a staff that does the flipping, I must really want that guy. And so for Lincoln Riley to really want a guy at quarterback, a position that I would argue he knows better than anybody else in the sport of college football, should tell you all you need to know about how highly they think of a Jonas Williams. If they're going to go battle the other top team on the West Coast, the team that just won the Big Ten a season ago, and go flip him from that school, needless to say, I think Lincoln Riley has a pretty solid evaluation of who Jonas Williams is. So there's that part of it. Scott Strader, who does a phenomenal job for us here at On3, does the Lord's work over at wearesc.com, our USC On 3 site. He compared him to Caleb Williams. That's a lofty comparison, but from a broad strokes perspective, talked about the way he's a tremendous athlete running the football, a strong arm. So you got that comp, plus Lincoln Riley wanting to do the flipping. Okay, we should feel pretty good about the trajectory of a one Jonas Williams once he does eventually get to Los Angeles and take some snaps. That's the first part of this. So outside of just the close-up version of this discussion around Jonas Williams flipping from Oregon to USC, how about just the way the script reads here? USC flips a quarterback from Oregon. And what have we been saying for the longest time? If you're USC, you got to start winning some of these recruiting battles. Yes, of course, in the state. Of course, we keep saying USC has got to own the West Coast or at least California. And Lincoln Riley, when he was on our show, talked about that and was very candid in that, and we appreciated that. I think he's on the money. I feel really good about their priorities in terms of the way they're attacking that. But outside of the geography of what's in your state, how about geographically beating the teams around you? Like they go into Illinois and flip him from Oregon, a team that if you're USC, if you want to go win the Big Ten, as it stands right now, you got to go through Oregon. I don't see that changing anytime soon with the way that Dan Lanning is roster building over there. Now, Oregon, I think, will be okay. They'll take this one on the chin. I think they'll be in good shape here moving forward. But for USC, this to me has just got to feel good if I'm a USC Trojan fan. Because for the last couple of years, honestly, it's been a bit of a fight between USC and the rest of the Big Ten, but specifically Oregon, to be able to land top guys. And for USC to land one on the jaw for Oregon, just got to feel good. Doesn't mean you won the fight. Doesn't mean it was a knockout blow. But just to fight back a little bit, to make some contact, and to mix it up, it just sends the message like, hey, you're going to have to deal with us. You have to deal with this brand on the field, on the recruiting trail. We're not going to be this situation that just rolls over because of, what you did a season ago or the Nike money and all that. And this is coming from me. I'm extremely high on Oregon here going forward. But for USC, this is a part of that next phase under Lincoln Riley, which is winning at a high level on the recruiting trail. Now, how do you do that? Because USC also, if you remember last cycle, climbed up pretty high in those On3 industry team recruiting rankings. And the vibes were immaculate, but then things progressed and USC didn't finish as strong as maybe you would hope if you're a Trojan fan. How do you sustain? How does USC find stamina on the recruiting trail? Some people, the more jaded people, will say, well, you just got to throw more money at them, right? It's NIL. I'm sure that's a part of it. I'm sure, finances are a factor in any high-profile recruitment. You just got to be a better recruiter, got to call the kids more. Maybe. I don't really think that's what's making the difference for USC, though. I think their staff is prioritizing acquiring talent. To me, it's about having a product on the field if you're USC to match what that brand is. Because as much as we talk about the other things that you now deal with in college football, like NIL, it's still about football, man. It's still about being able to assure these kids when they commit to you, you're going to play in big-time football games, meaningful football games, and we're going to win those games. Because if we're not doing that, if I don't have a reason to believe that's going to happen as a high school recruit of a 5-star, 4-star, whatever kind of caliber, I'm probably going to go somewhere else. Because other teams that want me, that are competing with the USC, are doing those things. So for USC, man, if they get a product on the field here in 2025, and spoiler alert, I think they're going to have a pretty solid product on the field here in 2025, they're going to be in position to really make some noise here in these recruiting rankings come next National Signing Day. So that's kind of the next part of this. But, like, let's be real. Nobody's actually questioning Lincoln Riley ever having a quarterback. Are we? Like, in your heart of hearts, if I asked you to say, do you think Lincoln Riley's going to have an all-conference quarterback in the Big Ten more often than not the next 10 years? And you have to pick the under or over on 5 years. Most people would say over, I think, that have a good head on their shoulders. That's what I would pick at least. It's not going to be about them having a quarterback. They've had a quarterback semi-routinely. You want to talk about him at Oklahoma, talk about him at USC, whatever. It's not been about that. The next phase for USC is acquiring the other pieces on the roster to go with the quarterback. If you haven't yet checked out the Lincoln Riley conversation we had on this channel, go check it out after this video. But he said something off the top when we were asking him a tongue-in-cheek question about In-N-Out versus Whataburger. He said, I want to take, the In-N-Out burger, but I'll probably take the Whataburger fries and the spicy ketchup. A very complete menu. That's the next thing for USC. Make a lot of comps with In-N-Out when we talk about USC and college football in general because it's the gift that keeps on giving. But y'all, that's the reality. They have to complete the menu. They have to be able to go acquire other top skilled talent. They have to be able to have a consistent flow of dudes in the trenches that are stocking up those depth charts. Like, that is the next step for them. If it was just about the quarterback, they're in good shape. And that's the hardest position, I think, to make sure you have right in college football. They got it right. It's the other pieces around them. And I'll say this too, the fact that you flip a guy like Jonas Williams this early on in the cycle, it only bodes well for building the rest of your class. Because what I just said, you got to have the trenches. Well, how do you go grab top offensive linemen? By showing them who their quarterback is. Show them the guy they're blocking for and tell them, hey, if you give him time, we're going to win a lot of football games. Same thing on defense. Get us the ball back, we're going to score a lot of points. All right? And this guy's going to make sure he does something with it when you get that stop on third down or fourth down or whatever it is. A lot of people will probably be talking about Chris Henry Jr. and in his future, a guy who's currently committed to Ohio State, going to take some visits. He's in USC's backyard going to Monterey High School, a school that historically now USC has had a lot of success recruiting. Talk about guys like Matt Leinart and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I digress. You don't flip a Chris Henry Jr. without going out and landing a quarterback for him to flip to. Okay, so there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, but to have your quarterback of the future, a guy to build around here in this class, I'm really excited to see what they do here going forward because it's not an uncommon thing to see Lincoln Riley get his quarterback, but the fact that he battled for him, flipped him from another school in the Big Ten, and now has a guy to build around for this class, should be excited if you're a USC Trojan fan. So let me know what you think about this. If you're a Trojan fan, if you're just a college football fan in general, again, I think Oregon's probably okay here, but nonetheless, if you're a USC faithful today, it just feels good to make some contact. Cato on the ones and twos for myself, JD PicKell. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.